Hey ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? Agent Jim Schwartz coming at you here, and we are back for another video. Today we're going to be looking at something a little bit different. We're going to be checking out what the heck happened with Harley Quinn Birds of Prey. As you all probably know, this movie did not perform anywhere close to as expected. It's on the verge of potentially losing money between its production and marketing costs, which is a pretty bad state for a DC movie or any other comic book movie at this point. It's the worst performing movie of DC's since Jonah Hex, which I'm sure you probably haven't heard of, and that tells you something. So yeah, it vastly underperformed, and you know, it's kind of odd because I thought the movie had a lot of potential and it just straight up bombed. So let's take a look at what happened here and what really led this movie astray. To start out, let me just say, I saw this movie. I don't think it was all bad. There was a lot of potential there. I think Margot Robbie is an amazing Harley Quinn, and this movie really was just a disservice to her. She stole every scene she was in. She was fabulous, but yet it just wasn't enough to overcome other problems. As well as Ewan McGregor was really good as Black Mask, even though his character was pretty underdeveloped. But that just leads us into the issues here. Let's just start off with the fact this movie changed names during its opening weekend, which is wild. I don't even know of a movie that did that, which is pretty crazy. So it went from Birds of Prey, something something, the Emancipation of Harley Quinn. It was like 30 words long, and it was stupid that it was that long. So the last minute they scrambled and changed it to just Harley Quinn Birds of Prey, which I thought was a much more better and appropriate name, but too little too late, unfortunately, for them. But so anyway, they just did this name change, and I think that was really due to the fact that they did not market this movie correctly. If you saw any of the trailers, this movie just really didn't look interesting to me. When I heard there was a Harley Quinn movie coming out, I was interested, but the first trailer just really turned me off, and I was just like, okay, I'm not going to love this movie. And I know that's a really big early judgment, but you could just tell it just didn't seem the best. I think this movie would have done better for itself to be just a Harley Quinn movie, because I feel like this movie had a bit of an identity problem. At times it seemed like a relationship story between Harley and the absent Joker, who was not even in the film, but you know, her getting over that and really coming out as her own character and establishing herself as an individual, which I thought was a cool plot. But if she was establishing herself as an individual, why did we need the Birds of Prey? You know, why are all these other characters kind of shoehorned into this movie? Alright, and I'll touch on this for a second because it definitely was a factor in this movie, and that means I have to get a little bit political. I'm not really going to get political, but that was part of it. Some of the actors came out and basically said this is a political film, it has an ideology that's pushing, and that turned a lot of people off. Now, whatever side of the aisle you fall on that debate of whether that was good or bad for this movie, I will say this, there are plenty of good movies that are political. V for Vendetta is still one of my favorite movies. But the difference is, I want to be entertained by my movies and not lectured. And while the movie itself wasn't too bad in this department, I think it can be really off-putting when you do hear actors pushing any agenda in the beginning of their movie when it's a superhero movie. I just want to go see Harley Quinn. Stop bothering me. I want to come be entertained and not worry about any of these other things. Politics aside, I think this whole leaning of making this a feminist film did bring up a small problem for this movie. All the male characters in this movie were bad. Literally, I'm not even being hyperbolic. There was not one redeeming male character in the movie. The old Asian man was almost redeeming, and then he sold out Harley, and then he was a dick too. There's no good men in this movie, which makes it really hard to make any dynamic male characters. And that really leads us to the problem with Black Mask. He was so underdeveloped, and that was because men in the movie were supposed to be bad foils for the women to overcome. So Black Mask was simply just a jerk, basically. He just didn't like people and was mean to women and killed people. That was pretty much all of his character, and I think that was really to the detriment of this movie. If you want to look at a girl power movie that works, look at Wonder Woman. She was badass and awesome and well-liked, and it was an awesome movie. But I think that movie loses something if Steve Trevor isn't there with his team to kind of play off of her. She was leading the team and was the top dog for sure, but she had support and people that were likable. And it made it more interesting when the villain of that movie was revealed because he was a guy that we thought was good. And we knew men could be good, so when one was bad, it was interesting, and it wasn't so one-dimensional. This movie was so one-dimensional that when you saw a man, you just thought, bad guy. And there was no nuance, it was simply one-dimensional the entire time. Also, side note, Victor in that movie was pretty good. He actually stole the show a little bit, but I still hate that was Victor Zsasz, the serial killer. He was basically just a random henchman, but they just gave him scars and named him Zsasz, which really bummed me out. Really bummed me out. God, I can't talk. The next problem we'd come to with this movie, why I think it dragged a lot, was just the exposition dumps. They had these overarching narrations. I think they were trying to copy Deadpool, but instead of copying Deadpool, they just kind of did lazy writing. Instead of telling the story through cinematography or clever discussion, they just had Harley literally tell you what was going on. And I mean, there was a lot of issues with this which was just kind of boring. For instance, Montoya. We are told her ex-girlfriend and her boss, who was her former partner, are just awful people. We're told that by Harley through narration, and we never see that. Really, but on screen when it's Montoya, her ex-girlfriend, and her ex-boss, or her ex-partner who is now her boss, Montoya comes off as the bad guy in those scenes. Montoya just seems like a poor cop who doesn't really do a good job, and her captain and her ex-girlfriend, who's a DA, are trying to keep her in line, and that's it. I don't know why we're supposed to hate these people or like Montoya. And that's just kind of the problem with the movie. We're just told we're supposed to hate them, and that's literally the end of it. By the end of all these narration and exposition dumps, we really just feel like Harley's the only character we actually know or care about. Canary, Huntress, Montoya, and everybody else just seems really underdeveloped. Harley Quinn is a good character, and we know her, and that's pretty much it. And because the movie doesn't just focus on Harley, it's not a Harley movie like a Spider-Man movie is a Spider-Man movie. We have all these other characters that just are frankly boring. We don't care about them. There's no emotional stakes. I mean, it's just really poor writing in my opinion. Another nitpick I'll bring up, and this is really a nitpick and I understand that. The actress who played Black Canary I thought did a really good job. As an actress, she was believable as a character. You felt a little bit of sympathy for her, and she was really the only bird of prey that I bought. She was a little bit more developed than the other two. Not as much as Harley, but still, she was at least a character. But if you know anything about Black Canary from the comics, you know that Black Canary is the most badass lady in the entire DC universe. Outside of superpowered people, she is the best female fighter in the DC universe. Yes, you heard me correctly. She is the best female fighter outside of her powers, just hand-to-hand combat. And this lady just didn't deliver. Her first fight in the movie looked okay, and I was like, alright, that wasn't terrible. But as she fought more throughout the movie, you just immediately noticed she did not look like a fighter. Harley and Huntress both had enough gimmicks and cool things going on that you were like, okay, they're superhero people. They look cool. Let's go. Black Canary just didn't give that to me, and she's supposed to be the best fighter of the bunch. At some point, she grabs a baseball bat from somebody and tries to hit a villain. It looked like a 4-year-old picking up a wiffle ball bat for the first time. Actually, it might have even been worse than that. It just really took me out of the movie, and it's that kind of attention to detail that really makes movies like this something special rather than just an okay popcorn flick. The plot was also pretty lackluster. The best parts of the movie, in my opinion, were Harley dealing with her own personal demons and issues. The rest of the movie was just about this diamond that basically was just a MacGuffin to make people fight. They tried to have some things that tied back to other parts of the movie and give you that whole Shyamalan oh shit moment, but it really never happened and it just didn't pay off. All those bits just came out of nowhere and were just overly convenient. None of the twists with Huntress or anyone else really felt all that earned, and as a result, I just really didn't care about them. To summarize, Harley Quinn Birds of Prey was a missed opportunity. Margot Robbie is actually an amazing Harley Quinn and just an amazing actress, and Black Mask had so much potential to be an awesome villain. I loved how he was portrayed even though he just wasn't developed in the script at all. There were some fun moments here and there. For example, when Black Mask dies, I loved it. I thought it was perfect and I wish the whole movie had that feel to it. But even with an amazing actress and some fun moments, it was really killed by snail speed pacing, poor character development, bad foresight, and a lack of stakes that just made the whole movie fall very flat. In my opinion, I'd give this movie a C-. It's worth watching once, or at least it's fun to watch with your friends and eat popcorn, but all in all, it'll soon be forgotten in an ever-increasing space of superhero cinema. Hey everyone, thanks for watching, and please feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Also, when I saw this movie with my friends, there was a guy snoring so freaking loud, it was incredible. Like, I thought he was going to wake himself up, but no. And it was a pretty full theater, and people were freaking going nuts. I almost got up and threw my popcorn at him. My lady was pretty convinced this one guy was going to get up and fight him, and it was just wild. How do you snore this loud in public and not wake yourself up or get nudged by whoever you're with? I don't know. Maybe this movie really is that bad, but whatever. At least I didn't throw my popcorn at him. It was delicious. Stay frosty, guys.